Well, here we go again. A pair of ISIS-trained extremists have been charged with hurling an IED near New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani's residence during an anti-Islam protest. The pair allegedly packed the homemade bomb with Mother of Satan, a volatile explosive favoured by international terrorists. Mamdani was inside at the time, but is okay. Joining me now is Emmy Award-winning journalist Stella Escobedo. Stella, a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you very much for joining me. In the New York Post, they're reporting that the 18 and 19-year-olds were both self-radicalised in recent years and travelled to Turkey and other terror training hotspots. My first instinct was, well, here we go. This is Mamdani's New York City.
Yeah. Here we go. First of all, thank you so much for having me on, Danica. I actually posted this to my social media, to my X account, like kudos to New York Post, because the mainstream media is not reporting that they were, ISIS inspired. These two guys, their parents, one of them is from Turkey, the other one is from Afghanistan. And you saw what happened. It's been a mess the last couple of days in New York City. First, we see Mamdani's wife, who's liking a bunch of posts of October 7th, celebrating, the massacre, the rape, the stealing of people. Olivia Reingold, who works for the Free Press, actually said that she discovered like 70 plus posts. Mamdani comes out and then says, well, she's just a civilian. She has nothing to do with my administration. Oh, but isn't she the First Lady of New York City? Okay, then we have these radicals who hurled basically a dirty bomb at peaceful protesters. It doesn't matter what you think about these protesters because they're making them seem like, alt-right, Jake Lang, whatever you think about them. In the United States of America, Danica, you are allowed to protest. You are allowed to chant, globalize the intifada, which we're actually seeing now. But what you are not allowed to do is kill people. And that IED could have hurt a lot of people. And then, I don't know if you saw this, Mamdani came out. He didn't mention anything about these two Muslim men. And one of them who threw the bomb was shouting Allah Akbar, okay? And he basically blamed white people, white supremacy.
Yeah, that seems to be the left's excuse now, that they love to blame white supremacy for any issue pertaining to radical Islam. And it's because, of course, they like to protect certain people in the community, and yet it's the West that suffers. And I want to ask you about those posts by Zoran Mamdani's wife. This is Rama Duwaji. This is an absolute disgrace. So she's gone, as you said, like celebratory Instagram posts on the day of Hamas's October 7 attack. And I'll take our viewers through them. The posts included images allegedly taken from live streamed footage of the attack showing a gleeful group riding on what appeared to be a commandeered Israel Defense Forces vehicle with the words "resisting apartheid since 1948. In another, it said "breaking the walls of apartheid and military occupation October 7, as you can see with a bulldozer used by terrorists to breach the barrier between Gaza and Israel." There were so many other highly inflammatory and anti-Israel posts, and you alluded to this. Here was Mamdani's response when he was asked about it. Have a listen.
My wife is the love of my life, and she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in this city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
Stella, how weak and pathetic is that? I mean, there are around 1 million Jews living in New York City, and he says, no, well, it's fine, it's got nothing to do with my wife. What do you make of this gaslighting?
First of all, she is the love of your life who basically supports terrorists. I mean, she's made that clear. She lives in the same household as you, so you guys don't share the same ideas. You do, because we've seen who he's filled in his administration, a bunch of anti-American, anti-Israel Jew haters. But what I will say is, WABC radio host Sid Rosenberg, who's a good friend of mine. I was just on his show a couple days ago when I was in New York City, and he was getting a lot of heat for basically calling out Mamdani and calling him an anti-American jihadi, and he used the word cockroach. Yeah, but he wasn't saying Muslims are cockroaches. He was basically calling Islamists that. He got so much heat, he had to apologize. Mamdani called him Islamophobic. Okay, so it's Islamophobia. Then I'm confused what Islamophobia is because now it's like calling out radical Islamists is Islamophobic. So this happens. Okay, so Sid Rosenberg is Islamophobic, but your wife is just a private person who is the First Lady of New York City, by the way. She represents you. She may not have an official job in the administration. So then there's also, I don't know if you've heard about this story, Vicky Palladino. She is a New York City treasurer. She sits on city council. She's being now investigated by the ethics committee in New York City for also being Islamophobic, for also pointing out to radical Islam. And even Hassan Piker, you know who Hassan Piker is? He basically tweeted saying he is going to sue her for defamation after he live streamed saying, oh, hey, you know what? You don't need suicide bombers anymore. You could just buy suicide drones in places like Russia and China. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. There's so much hypocrisy. So with Mandami, yes, that was a weak response. And I'm waiting to see what he's going to come out and say about the 2 terrorists who were just arrested. By the way, those 2 were arrested, in addition, 4 more. So there were 6 people who have been arrested in total.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I just think it's complete gaslighting, I think, and it's such a shame. But this is New York City under Zohran Mamdani. This is what you get what you pay for, don't you? You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, I want to bring something up. When we talk about, so right now there's conversation happening online with people saying, we don't even trust the Mandami administration to investigate this incident that just happened properly because his administration is so full of anti-Israel, anti-American people. He hired a lawyer. His name is Ramzi Kassem. He was hired by Mandami. He's the New York City chief legal counsel. So he's basically charged with crafting, NYC legal policy. You know who this man is? This man defended an Al-Qaeda terrorist who was convicted of bombing a oil tanker off the coast of Yemen. He also defended Mahmoud Khalil. So these are the kind of people who are working in his administration. Do we trust him to do the right thing and investigate this properly? I don't think so. And, you even have very smart people in America who are saying, Mandami, resign.
I mean, I'm not surprised. And it's just such a blight as well on the Jews, the good, hardworking Jews in the New York City. They didn't want this. They didn't want this.
No, I mean, they call New York Jew York. And so I can't even imagine what it's like. I have friends and family who live there, and I'm always like, head on a swivel, be careful, because you know what, Danica, when they say globalize the intifada, which, by the way, Mandami till this day has not condemned that phrase, they meant it. We always say that. Believe them when they say it.
Yeah, and we have seen what globalize the intifada does. I mean, we had a terrorist attack, Bondi Beach, here in Australia a couple of months ago. This is globalize the intifada playing out. It is dangerous and it's terrible. I really do feel for the Jews.